Alright, today I'm going to show you all the 3D printed RC truck that I've worked on. So now it's fully functional. And this is what it turned out like. So the frame itself is actually that, made out of PLA. Oh yeah, I forgot I still need to fix that, but for the most part it's done, other than I added these. I forgot about that. But it has functioning leaf springs for towing. I do need to print something for the cab here, so that's how you access everything. And the receiver ESC is on a tray right in the center of everything, which seems to work pretty good. The transmission's pretty low. But the way I found all of this stuff was just going through Thingsverse and Yegi, and oh man, there was all sorts of websites. This piece here for the rear is actually for a different style body, but it worked good for this bed. I just had to do a little trimming and modifying to make it work. I am going to end up putting a servo back here somewhere. I might end up moving this battery up front and put a servo here so I can have a little dump bed. As far as the links go, the lower links were not quite long enough. So what I ended up doing was just cutting them, and I've got hollow brass tubing, and I just filled the center in with some extra PLA and glued the ends in there. And I had to make my own drive shaft extensions because the truck is so long. And the axles are completely 3D printed, other than the shafts themselves on the inside. The only part that I couldn't find a 3D print are the knuckles, which that's okay. I can maybe find something and 3D print knuckles for it later. And I've got some links to change this stuff out. I just haven't made it that far. I just wanted it to work. So that's it. And let's see, so there it is. And it functions pretty good, actually. The biggest reason that I was wanting to build this truck in the first place was so I had a hauling rig for stuff. So I ended up making myself a quad axle gooseneck that just clips on here. There's a file for this piece, and there's actually a file for more of the trailer, but it wasn't as long as I wanted, so I ended up making my own creation here. Just kind of mocked it up so that way, you know, it doesn't actually have any sort of spring or leaf spring or anything in here. These are free floating, just with spacers that I've made to keep everything, you know, from wiggling around. But the way that this the way that this quad axle works is, you know, as it runs stuff over, it'll do its own suspension pretty much. But this truck here, some of the donated parts, the axle shafts and everything ended up coming out of this truck. So I ended up using the ring and pinion and the axle shafts from this, which was originally one of these Broncos. And I just took, let's see, I did not use that servo. Yeah, I did. Okay. I got a pack of servos around here somewhere. I was going to put a bigger one in it, and I haven't made it that far. So the plan with this truck is I'm going to build it kind of different. I've got some other wheels and tires and stuff in my little shop here. Some other 3D printed nonsense back there. But you know, that's how it's turned out so far. And the trailer just clips right to it just like that. And I mean, once it's on there, it's on there. So this is why I want to put a servo under here for the dump bed. So that way this will stay down. When it's pulling, it doesn't lift the trailer or lift the bed or anything. So it works like this. I just would like something to hold that down. The way to actually get this off here is you can actually just tilt this back a certain degree and it'll come right off of there. And the other thing is that I 3D printed this little hitch, and I cut my own hole and put it through there and pinned it on the back side. So that way you can hook up another smaller trailer back here. You know, that one's a little small for this truck, but this is just a piece of aluminum from like an old trophy or something. I don't remember what it comes from. And I just 3D printed these pieces right here, which are for a different trailer and the tongue. This is just an extra piece that I had that I cut to glue here to just kind of give that some brace in this little trailer. And these are what the battery tray for this is. So that's what that battery is actually riding in, is one of those. And this part, you see how that looks, is actually what is underneath here. So what I'll do is I'll go back through the files and try to make a list of everything that went into this truck and how it's built. But it came out really good to be a 3D printed truck, I guess, and some engineering. I'm really pleased with how these leaf springs in the back actually worked out, and then ended up putting some shocks on it, so it works pretty good. So that way there's some flex back here, but it's still stiff enough to hold some stuff. And this is a pretty long truck, so you know it's sitting next to what it was donated parts from. Let's see, front wheel to front wheel there. So there's that much more truck on the back. So don't be afraid to just start doing stuff. If you're wondering what kind of printer I am using, it is the Elegoo Neptune 2 is what this is, right? Yeah. So that's the, yeah, it's the Neptune 2 right here. And most of the PLA that we use is the elegoo PLA. We got this stuff, and I don't know the name of the company. Whatever this crap is, and it's crap. It's exactly that. I wouldn't use it. But that's what we printed everything on, and this is what you end up with. So don't be afraid to hack, screw, combine, whatever it is that you got to do to make your stuff come to life. I found this body on an RC truck at Goodwill for $1, and it had a bed and everything. Here, actually, oh, this is what the bed has turned into. I have a little thing for SD cards and my old ass card reader and all of that, and then I actually have a spot for my mic that comes off of here. So that's what that got turned into. So don't be afraid to hack and screw and chop your way to greatness, I guess. So I hope y'all like that. I will definitely put a link for everything I used. As far as electronics go, it's all just the stock electronics from the Bronco 24. This is actually a walkie-talkie mount. Looks just like that. So that's what that is, and I've just put magnets in there and put magnets on that side, and then that way there is a way to hold that shut. But if you got any questions, just let me know. The biggest issue that a lot of people are going to have is printing these dually wheels. I'll have to show you how to set it up in the program if that's what you need, but these dually wheels were a pain, and so were these, because if you notice, the hub sticks out a little bit further than the back, and you don't want to print it on the front. So I'll just have to show you how I did that. Alright, if you got any questions, let me know. Subscribe for more, I guess. I don't know. Whatever it is you want to do. Ride a bicycle. Cut down a tree. 3D print RC car. Tell them, baby.